We live.
All right.
All right, Michelle, stand up.
Got nothing. I'm good.
All right, Bryce, stand up.
Stand up. Still doing Tyler stuff. I had been trying to work on the reserve court stuff for most of this week. And had forgotten that it's only this weird incantation that not even Tyler can tell me. And they claim that the attorneys will know when you're allowed to schedule the attorneys will know when you're allowed to schedule a return date. And so they sent me like, here's an example case, and the attorneys will know what cases are supposed to trigger this. So I did get the point where I did trigger it correctly, and I've gotten back a list of dates that we can schedule, and I just need to make sure that works with the Docker symbol front end. So I've done that. I also did some more stuff on the linter, which can now read in a Docker symbol interview, spit out readability stuff on it, header lengths, and easy word changes. And then this morning, there was a long conversation, not really long, but just a lot of messages that I think I missed between David and Quentin about readability specifically applied to forms and kind of both paper forms and like our digital forms, which inspired me. I had at one point done a like kind of deep dive into trying to find specific readability formulas that were not just on text. And I ran into a bunch of dead ends about Twitter, and they were all very specific to Twitter and like not very useful for us. And so I decided to dive in again, and I found a few more interesting things skimming. So I will try to read some more on that and possibly integrate it into our linter stuff.
There's a guy, Luke, he has a Polish or Slavic name, like Wojciechowski. Do you know who he is, David?
No.
Quentin, do you have ever? Anyway, he a few years ago, he was the forms guru. And he may be a good person to reach out to. I'll find his name for you. He's brilliant, and he cares about this kind of stuff. So I like you, I saw some of those messages. I threw a few things in, but I couldn't really get too involved in conversation. Interestingly enough, I had a readability conversation with GBLS EA people this morning. So I'm in the groove at the minute. But that guy Luke, he's really good. It sounds. I can't think there's anybody else.
It's like WR
that ends in a ski at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
He's very good. So he's super famous. So you might not hear back from him, but it's worth a shot and see what he has on that, because he's been all about accessible online forms in general, but specifically online forms. And his stuff is a few years old, but he may have stayed in that area and gotten a little bit more.
That is good. I have found some of his stuff. I'll try. If you could still send me his contact info, that would be great.
I will. Yeah.
Also, Bryce, I opened an issue on the Explorer around the idea of creating a complexity score for forms, and dropped the paper you put in there, and we can use that as another place to think about things.
Okay.
All right, cool. And then remind me, what was the sort of the leaving with Tyler then? It's like they'd given you some stuff. Do you get any sense from them about where we are in the process?
No, that was the thing. I haven't gotten from them yet. And hopefully I'll be able to, like, now that I have like a path forward to actually do work and not just spin in circles with the Tyler stuff, I'll be able to finish that today. And so I will be able to send back hey, not only are we done with these other two Cook County specific things, but how are y'all doing? What's y'all's progress? So,
yeah, no, that's good. All right, Sarah, I know you've got a lunch hour issue here, so I've put you next.
Perfect, thank you. I am just here to say that I have been my own blocker. We had a very exciting election 2 weeks ago. It has been a lot of work, but I think my next.
You have a new boss now, huh?
Yeah, very exciting stuff. But
exciting! I thought you said upsetting, and I thought,
oh my gosh,
exciting.
No, very.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah,
it has been very exciting. Just busy. Technology is at the core of transitions, so very exciting stuff. But I have not been sleeping on my form. It will get done. Michelle is my next step. So Michelle, I'll let you know. We'll connect so that I can come on in one of your office hours. There's like one wonky code thing that I am trying to figure out, but I'm almost there. And then Caroline, I will come your way for a language review. And I've queued up kind of having the Rosie's Place person, whose name I am forgetting, I think Jen, look that over as well. So I'll reach out to her, but thank you all for your never-ending patience with me. That form will be here soon, but thank you so much and have a great weekend. I'm going to quickly hop off.
We timed that just right then, I guess. Next, I had Quentin.
Okay, I'm going to try not to be too windy, sorry. So yeah, this week, a lot of stuff on the documentation. I'd love more eyes on it. I've just been making choices to keep moving it along and iterating on it. And some of them may not be justified. Some, people have other ideas about how it should be organized. Let me know what things that are missing. I've been working on some back-end stuff. So like a couple weeks ago, I put in a pull request to add skip undefined functionality for docx files, which I think will really let us make them more robust and have surface fewer user errors. We have a new custom error string, thanks to some design work by Lily, which I think is a big improvement over the stock one. That will also give people directions of what to do if they run into like a timeout, for example. And I want to integrate some of those into, first of all, we'll have to do an audit and add like that skip undefined functionality to all of our interviews, probably some to really benefit from it. But my thought is, a custom error handling page that takes people to a place where they can download their work in progress if something goes wrong with the interview. As long as it's a docassemble level error and not a server level error. And I think that'll be really helpful for safety.
Are you talking about users, Clinton? You're talking about users downloading, right?
So users can download their work in progress. So like they won't be stuck at a weird docassemble error page that they can't understand. That users will be able to see what the progress on the form is and at least get something with a warning that says, hey, this may not be complete, but here's what we were able to fill in.
Very nice.
And then the other thing we started talking about, which I was really excited about this week, thanks to all the work David's been doing, and we did a little demo with the folks at Pew. I would like, before we get to DocaCon, which is in about 2 weeks, to be able to demo like a one-click or close to one-click, at least a one-screen I'm feeling lucky button for the Weaver. And like, how can we make that happen? Like, there's some synthetic things I think we can do that don't really require machine learning to make it work. But the biggest barrier is just grouping the forms into a logical order. So I'm thinking of just kind of hard coding some of that based on, some really rough heuristics and maybe like, hey, no more than 5 fields on a screen. We'll take them in the order that they appear on the form. And it'll look like something. So when you click a button, load in your form, run it, and you'll have something that you'll be able to see, well, what does this Weaver even do right away? So I'd love thoughts on that if everyone has ideas. But I also just trying that. I'm trying to balance that plus the guardianship form plus some back-end stuff that's not as visible, but that will make Doc a little bit safer. So I'll be working on all of those probably next week.
Question on the ordering. Is it a proper statement of the problem to say that given a list of variables, you want to be able to take that list and basically cut it into a set of groups with some ordering inside those groups? Is that?
Yes. So
and
I
those
think
groups being for
task
screens
will be to per screen.
And order
and
outside
then,
the groups, right?
separating like address fields, like that's one field. So we'll have to do like some chunking at the top level to reduce that list of fields. But after we figured out these are the unique fields that are one concept, getting those into an order.
So I did open up an issue for building a classifier to do something like that in the Explorer. And the question I was having is what sort of how would you like that? Saying let's assume you pulled that from, an Explorer version of something. How would you like that data passed? So if I was giving you a list of, or if someone was giving a list of fields that was, grouped in to screens, would you want that like as an object? Would you want that as a list of lists? Would you?
Is this something we might come back to after stand-up?
It is, but I'm just asking if there was a simple, or if it's not.
I think it wouldn't really matter. Like any kind of JSON structure that
was
could express
basically,
the grouping would work. Yeah.
Okay, and that was the done. All right, cool. I might be able to, depending upon my capacity, although I need to shift off of some of this. I had an idea of a way to do a quick and dirty thing that it's an empirical question as to whether or not it would look like anything, what the output would look like. But there's an idea at least.
Yeah, and then I think for some of the fields, like we have an idea for how to group them, right? So that's where I think best practices will come into play. Things like asking for somebody's name at the beginning, but for their address and personal information towards the end after the substantive question. Those are things where I think I'll just make some choices, and it'd be good to see if we have consensus on those choices. It actually just reminded me of something like I noticed when we were running Bryce's readability program, that we got a lot of warnings about 2 lines of heading, and then we got contradictory feedback from theory and principle where they said it's better to ask the whole question in the heading unless you really need the sub-question. So we might want to revisit some choices like that, but this ordering question is one where a lot will come from what we think is a good interview, not just how to group them logically.
But sounds like lots of work on the documentation, lots of work on the Weaver. Things are going well. No particular blockers, but would like feedback.
Yep.
Cool. I realize I'm doing lots of thumbs ups and stuff that you can't see. So I'm trying to be very explicit with my voice. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Anything else?
I think I actually have 2 other items once Caroline's done.
All right. Anything else, Quentin?
No.
All right, Caroline.
Do you want Michelle to finish her thing?
I think she has additional things she wants to put. We're just doing stand-up. So if you have issue blockers or what you're working on blockers.
So the 2 things are just that I got back in touch with Sarah. So it's actually perfect timing for me because I didn't have space to work on Sarah's plain language again until she's ready. So that works. And then I think my real work now is trying to go back to Lily's financial statement, which needs regular, editing, some spelling errors and stuff like that. And then that was her very first doc assemble interview. And some of the stuff I'd like to do is incorporate the stuff that's in the assembly line already. So for example, I worked with Michelle on trying to import the court list. So when he says what division are you in, you get the list of probate and family courts in the financial statement. So there are little elements like that. There's some other stuff which I'm not sure Lily's comfortable with me messing around with, but I don't think that people should have to calculate. If their number is monthly, they should not have to calculate what a weekly amount is. And there's a lot of that in the financial statement that needs, which I think we already have in assembly line. So trying to figure out how to bring those pieces in, because to my mind, that is the most important probate and family court form there is, because so many people have to use it and it's such a pain in the neck form. So that's
try to get it right.
Yeah. In terms of, and also we want to get it out there, It's been out there since Lily discovered DocAssemble. So we should just move it through and get it to the standard
MVP.
Their forms are now. Yeah. So,
so that seems good. So Sarah,
and then I have a DHCD thing for management.
All right, let's loop back around. If there are any explicitly raised questions from this conversation, which I think Michelle has too, and then we'll talk about any management things.
So real quick, in case anyone has an idea of what's going on, timeout errors right now are not showing the module not found error, which is messing up tests. it's just showing blank screen. So if anyone knows why that's happening, that would be great to know. The other thing I'm not sure if we were going to discuss here was maybe more tactical about making an upstream, like trying to prepare something for validation text for users that we could push upstream that we thought might need more care than just our opinions if we were going to push it upstream.
What type
Like
of
we
text
can-
validation?
So field validation for users. Like, you know, we have thoughts on ways to make things more clear. But just, you know, making Jonathan make a big update for our opinions as opposed to ones that we validated in some capacity, you know,
So
that
so
was
it's
kind of a discussion.
question about the existing native DACA symbol validation sort of process and changes to that. Is that a good?
So the sentences that it shows, for
Yeah, okay.
example, you need to put a value here or
Got you.
something is
Ah.
like a bit accusatory. So
Got you.
that was the feedback. And so
Alright.
saying,
So
yeah,
the specific text feedback for
Or-
validation.
or plain language. Yep.
Got you. All right. So I think that is a good thing of sort of like questions. So let's try this for management. Let's go through, let's not have any discussion aside from the framing. So we'll go around and we'll see, and everyone can sort of say if they had a thing or a set of things that they think are management questions that are ripe for a discussion. If you could just if you could frame what that discussion is, and we will all try to exhibit self-control and not respond to it until everyone has gone through. Michelle, anything to add in the now tactical discussion? We're going to
That
start
was
with
that
the one you
part.
had it. Okay, good.
Okay.
Bryce.
Nothing that I probably want to bring up right now.
All right. Quentin.
No, nothing that I didn't already raise.
All right. Caroline.
The only thing I can think of is this, I was talking to GBLS EA people this morning about the whole thing about plain language and readability for DHCD forms.
Yeah, all right.
And so the question is there a way that we can think again about using we talked about this a little bit, but the agents, you know, doing DocAssemble agency forms, which aren't technically legal law student type forms, but if lawyers go into benefits, then it would be the kind of thing, particularly when you talk about language access and accessibility. So I don't know if that's on my mind as something that would
All right.
come into this kind of conversation.
All right, so that's sort of a question of, that seems like a steering question related to like what forms should be in our pipeline. Would that be a good framing?
That, and given the fact that we're Massachusetts based, is there any preferential treatment? Is there a way that we can help Massachusetts agencies if they turn to us, produce good online accessible forms?
All right. Okay, so what forms we might take on ourselves and what resources we might be able to help devote to assisting our neighbors to do that.
Yeah.
All right. So both of those, so Caroline's, I think, feels like a longer one that requires like a bigger question of, you know, what is in our pipeline. And I don't think we're at a stage where we can deal with that yet, because I think our pipeline's kind of full right now, at least as far as the capacity of people. This is a good time for me to do my stand-up, which is that we just put in job listings for the STEP program, which is a $3 million gift that someone gave to the university to hire students internally working at technical positions in the university. The next cohort will start in January. We've put in for 3 positions. I don't anticipate us getting 3 employees. I suspect maybe we'll get 1. How many we get depends in part upon whether or not we can sort of meld and mentor with other groups in the university. So for example, one that I think is probably our priority is a PM position. And they would be able to get some mentorship from IT that already has like some PM capacity. And so that would be a nice bit sort of to build upon the success we saw with Aubrey in that position over the summer.
Is PM, is that
project manager. Yeah.
Right.
And there, the hope is that that would also be able to carry over into the summer and to help provide some institutional memory. So this person would also be able to help us, in theory, better deal with the capacity of external volunteers and help make that a little more seamless, so that when people say, hey, we want to come and volunteer, and it's not the summer. In the summer, we, our capacity is such that we can, devote a lot of attention, and we're I think in the summer we, we have the capacity to do more people. But during the school year, if someone comes and says they want to volunteer, it's very hard for us to be able to onboard them and to give them the attention they need to help them succeed as a team member. So the hope is that the PM position would help to make that possible, and then also help to just make all of the other operations of things runs more smoothly. And also it would be in a way to have institutional memory that sort of lives on, hopefully from semester to semester, for things like onboarding. And they would also help a great deal with documentation and documenting processes and stuff. So that's one job. We also had a community outreach, like promotions type person who would help do like community outreach. And basically they do a lot of copywriting probably for things like landing pages and whatnot. And maybe some social media campaigns, perhaps do some webinars or trainings, basically be a public facing engagement person to, social media, et cetera, let people know about what's going on, and also to engage with the community, sort of feel what people need and build those relationships. And then we had a third just for a catch-all sort of developer position, which we listed very openly to be able to meet the students where they're at. So basically it was like front end, back end, what do you want to do? We have the need for any of those sort of things, and we can mix and match what would be asked of you to your skills and interests. So those are the three positions we put out, and we'll see if we get any bites on those. When I started that, there was a reason, and I think it was that Caroline had mentioned that, things about capacity, and we're talking about capacity and external volunteers. So there might be an opportunity there for us to help coordinate with external volunteers or people who want to be doing stuff, to work on stuff that maybe we don't feel is in our core development, but maybe we could make it be part of the core development of this other cohort. So that was that thought there. As for Michelle's questions about inputs, that feels like a good broader conversation for our new meetings, which will be happening on Monday. As long as everyone's okay with this, what I'd like to propose is that, because we already have, Quentin, Bryce and I already have a meeting at 10 that we do with some of our partners in the grant. We then tend to use a time after that to do a little sync up, and then that sometimes bumps into the Monday deep dive. And if we just put that together, there can just be like a whole morning of meetings that I'm sure will be a lot of fun. So the relevant question is, so I know Michelle, Bryce, and Quentin are already at that meeting at 11. And so the idea is we want to take maybe like 15 minutes at the beginning of that.
I don't know if it's inappropriate, but I would be happy to come to the earlier meeting as well. I don't know what that meeting is about.
Yeah, that's not, we don't need that for the,
okay.
I think what we want to do is we want to find a time where already there are a lot of people. And so the real question is, Caroline, would 11 on Mondays for about 15 to 30 minutes be a time you could pop in?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, then let's do that. And the nice thing is the meeting that Bryce, Quentin, and I have at the time, I think is on the same link as the one you do already. So we can just stay on that link. So basically what ends up happening is that Caroline and I will now jump onto that meeting where you haven't seen us before. And we can dig deeper into things like the issue that Michelle raised, and then everyone will be able to see them. And we're only 6 minutes over now, which is not bad considering we spent 8 minutes or more at the beginning of the meeting talking about whether or not we should have multiple meetings. So I think this now will conform to that. And so this is the other nice thing is this is not an additional meeting time for Bryce, Quentin, or Michelle. And Caroline, hopefully you and I can deal with the extra
Sure.
time. But
Yeah,
I really hated the idea. I was hating the idea of making any more meeting time for people. So
Right.
that was the thing I was trying to avoid.
Well, this isn't more, is it? It's just moving.
Yeah, and it means that now we can have this time will be can be more explicitly casual Fridays, but
You might
But
not
yeah.
get anybody if it's only casual Fridays.
well, it's not casual Fridays. We'll still have a stand up at this time, and so we'll do
Oh, we
exactly what we
will.
did.
Oh, we
yeah.
still have a stand up at this time. Oh,
We'll
I
still have
see.
to stand up at 12.
Gotcha.
We'll still
It's
have to
just
stand
this,
up at
we're moving
12:30.
this tactical Tuesday around. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a tactical Tuesday that we tried to get rid of
I
by
see what you're
combining
saying.
with Friday, and then that didn't quite work.
Right.
And so it needs its own space, but we think
Right.
it could better overlap with something that,
That
that,
makes a lot more sense.
you know,
Yeah.
three-fifths of people are already have that time blocked
At the-
off.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
When are those, so I have two questions. One is you were going to have somebody from the business school, I think this summer. Is that also that project management idea? Do you remember weren't you going to have
We
somebody
have
from the
business school students occasionally in the lab, and we were thinking about maybe using them as project management.
But that didn't
that's not
happen because you
this.
had Aubrey this year, right? And then now
Over
you're
the
just
summer,
thinking,
yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then, so you're not, so I just remember when I left, that's what I think we were thinking about. So
We were trying to figure out where we could get someone to do that. And so we already had access to business school students as part of our students. And we thought that might be an option, but this is really a better option because it's a paid position.
the step,
Yeah, the step. It's paid and it has funding for over the summers as well.
right? And
So-
technical it still could be a business school student, right? Because
Yes.
that's called technique, right? That's
There-
management.
I'm not quite sure exactly how the gift is funded, but in talking with the individuals, they seemed very much open to anything that was sort of like ancillarily attached to tech projects. So like they were fine
I
with like
see.
social media campaigns was like entirely within that
Gotcha.
bit.
Yeah.
Development off, software development obviously within there. Project
Mhm.
management on software was definitely in there. So that's why we ended up with those three listings. And again, there's sort of those three listings. I think of them more as like a wish list than like
Yeah.
an actual
Oh, yeah,
get.
yeah. No, but it's
Um,
something to think about. Big picture. These are the positions we need,
Yes.
right? I think that's important to.
Yes.
And so I don't know if this is the right place, but
Hmm.
I have been trying for years. There's something called the Rapid Estimated Assessment Literacy in Medicine test. It's
Hmm.
called the Realm test. And this amazing woman, Catherine Summer, developed at University of Baltimore, who's all about readability and for low literate people on the web. And she developed this test, and it's a really prestigious test that people have been using for years. I would love to see it so it would be REALL. So it would be Rapid Estimate Assessment Literacy in the Law. And essentially what it is it's, 24 or 36 words. Each one is in a separate column, and they are different. They're different medical terms. And if we could do one with different legal terms and you use it, it takes less than 5 minutes. And you use it with people and ask them to read it. And then they each get a score, and then you know what literacy level they are. And then can you use those people, or those would be good people it's a screening tool to develop a group of testers. And
I see.
I don't think it would be super complicated, but somebody needs to do it. And I'm just throwing that out there in terms of the capacity and Tactical Tuesday. I don't know who could do it. I would ask that we work with Catherine because she's already developed it, and it would give it a lot of credibility.
So another thing which we're thinking about, we have a set of gift money coming in where some of that is explicitly set aside for sort of human factor testing, like
Oh,
so there will be an opportunity to do that. Although there it has to be, we have to frame it within the context of housing work. So
that's
we
not hard.
we would, you know, have to do it and relate it to housing, but that's another avenue of funding and resources that we have. So yeah, so I mean, as far as like things that we've always thought of as like where do we need help? One, you know, there's this project management, institutional memory, being able to handle capacity as it comes in, and the other one we've always is user testing. That sort of stuff is the type of things that we really don't have a deep bench in. Which is why we explicitly asked for money to be able to pay people to do some of that. So that is something that we will be dealing with from the lab side in the next 2 years. That's a 2-year runway on that money.
It'd be so great if we could develop that tool, because everybody in the country could use it.
Well, so
it would encourage people to do more user testing.
My real hope is that we would be able to, whatever it is we're able to do, we'd be able to document in such a way that it could then be something that we could internally replicate and then share.
Right, right.
So we could come up with some processes for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think let's call it there, because that conversation could have been a Monday conversation. But since no one has knocked down on the electrical door popping in to do Casual Friday, it's not a big deal. So now we've freed the time so that other people can come into our Casual Friday. Let's see if they'll show up.
1, 2, 3.
3. All right. With that, I'll cut the recording. Then we can be our true authentic selves or whatever. I can't cut this recording because I'm not doing it.